check, go ahead and say and spell first, last name.
Yes, Lindel Fields, Lindel Fields.
Okay, so it's almost been a month.
Yes.
I'm sure that time has flown for you, but what would you say the hardest thing has been so far?
I think it's a month today, actually. The hardest thing,
Or things?
yeah. Just the sheer volume of things has been the hardest thing. Not surprising, but it's been the hardest. It's just a lot of things to get around. So, and a variety of things. So I just think the sheer volume, and then it all came so quickly, right? So we've accepted, and we've put a turnaround team in, and had 2 board meetings. Just that alone is a lot. So I think just getting our arms around it was the hardest thing.
When you got the call from the governor, are you interested in this job?
Mm-hmm.
What was going through your mind, and what did you expect from this job?
I was excited. I didn't hesitate at all. And then I told my wife, or asked my wife. So I was feeling called to do something for education in Oklahoma. I've been retired for 4 years, and just felt the need to contribute. Like a lot of people, maybe frustrated. I had a 5th grader. What's real, what's not real. And quite literally in April, I woke up one day and said, quit talking about it, do something about it. And so it was a welcomed call, and then I never hesitated. So here I am.
What were some of the most eye-opening things once you got into this building? Some of the things maybe unexpected.
Well, the number of boards that you serve on, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to be around so many people so frequently. There's people around all the time. Meetings rarely happen one-on-one, so that's a little different than the world I used to be in as a superintendent. So that was a little surprising. And then I think those were the things that come to mind.
You have started going around and meeting with districts and meeting with other leaders. What do you feel like? What are they telling you? Do you feel like the morale has changed? Are they thankful? What feedback are you getting from the people on the ground?
Well, the feedback has just been so positive, so appreciative. Lots of thank yous. That's something I didn't expect. I didn't expect to get 1,200 messages, and that was a lot. So I think they're appreciative. Has the mood changed? I would let you be the judge of that from the outside looking in. They're just expressing appreciation that someone's listening and taking them seriously, I think. So just positive all the way around.
The 2 board meetings that I've been at so far have seemed very like you guys are getting real work done. It seems much more collaborative, much less tense. How do you feel like those board meetings have gone? What has the relationship with the other board members been like for you?
Well, like you, I feel really good about them. We had to tackle some, things that have been on the dockets for a while, some tougher issues. But I've run several hundred board meetings. Now, the difference is, being the chair of this board, I'm also a voting member. In my previous roles, I wasn't a voting member, but I felt like they've gone well, prepared, got the information out as quickly as we could so folks could prepare, and just kept everybody on task. And so I feel pretty good about them.
You have had to deal with quite a few legal things that were not anything that you did. It was
Right.
handed down to you. What has that process been like, and kind of what are the next steps in some of those lawsuits?
I'm glad you asked, because they're not simple solutions. It may seem like that, and when we're all said and done, hopefully it seemed like it, was a transparent, easy transition. But these things take time. So there's legal consideration, there's administrative rules, there's legislation. So there's a lot to unpack. So some of the bigger things we've started the process on all of those things, and some of those will be unraveled hopefully sooner than later. But it's just a process, and we're being very deliberate. I like to say we're going to measure twice and cut once. We don't want to put ourselves in another predicament.
With those standards, was there anything that really stood out to you in the standards that were approved in 2025 that you would like to remove right now? Or is it still just a review process? I know you want to get input from, teachers, parents, all of that. What does that look like for you?
The social studies standards?
Correct.
Right. So, just to clarify the process, so implementation of the standards had been stayed by the courts. And so what we will be asking for, what the board voted to do, is ask the courts to extend that stay for 60 days. So there was a deliberate process, as there is with all of our standards for the social studies standards, and then there were some changes made to those. So there's been quite a bit of input, and then there were some changes. So we want to make sure to give folks input, the opportunity to input and reevaluate, just to see and ensure we have the right things in those standards. Specifically, from my point of view, I haven't got into it that deeply, so we'll let the process determine what comes out in those standards.
And then one of the more, well, all of these things have kind of hit you at once. But
Right.
top of mind for a lot of families right now is the federal cuts, and that includes SNAP. And families they're just scared. What is your message to them, and what are some things that families can be doing right now?
It's very scary. So I just would start with, I hope this gets resolved at the federal level very, very soon. We had a press conference yesterday at the regional food bank, and the work they're doing is just amazing. But I think it's obvious that's not going to be near enough. So I hope that gets resolved sooner than later. As far as the programs that we have here at SDE, it's my understanding that all of our programs will remain funded. So that's things like free and reduced lunch and food programs in our schools. And one program that we think might be able to be utilized more is an after-school snack program. It says snack, but it's more than that. So we'd like to see other schools take advantage of that. And then parents whose income might have been affected, or they didn't take time or whatever to complete the application for free and reduced lunches, if they could do that, that would be helpful. So we can help in that regard, but again, it's just going to take the entire community to get folks who rely on that SNAP benefit to a point when hopefully this gets resolved. So, scary time.
Just a logistic question on that, the USDA after-school snack program, is that something that schools can apply for mid-year, or what is the timeline on that one?
Yes, they can. So many schools have. We believe there's some schools that could take advantage of it. I don't know that it's related. It's not necessarily a SNAP program. It's a different program. I can get you the federal name of it.
As shifting gears a little
Sure.
bit, you are in this role as state superintendent, but you're a parent first. Looking at how education has changed over the past few years, what are some of the things that are important for you to see change as a parent?
Yeah. Well, as a parent and someone who was a former educator, I was just as confused as anybody. What's going on? We're a Tulsa public school family, and the audits down there, and you just didn't know what was what. So for me, just kind of understanding the process and just calmness, right? That I felt like we were in the news too much. And so as a parent, I don't want to see that, but like all parents, I just want my child to have the best opportunity to learn, which means good teachers and a safe school, which I think she's part of. So just like any parent, a good school experience. You want your kids to grow up and be independent and be well-rounded. So nothing profound, just like anybody else. Just Yeah.
On the budget, there was the literacy fund and the teacher recruitment and retention.
Right.
Why, those were two of the things that you talked about even at the first press conference.
Right.
Why are those two ideas so important to you?
You know, again, it's not anything profound, but I believe that we've got to get the basics right, and I don't think anybody would argue we've got to do better in literacy at the younger ages. So I believe we have to get that right to set ourselves up for success in other places. If kids aren't reading at grade level by 3rd or 4th grade, they're going to be struggling in everything else. And so there's that. That's the basic building block. Beyond that, you have to have good teachers. Recruit and retain good teachers. So again, nothing profound. I don't think anybody would come up with a lot different, but I just want to focus on the basics. And so I said for a very long time, less is more, stick to your core. Let's get really good at those things, and the rest will take care of itself.
There's been quite a few lawmakers, both Democrats and Republican, House and Senate, coming to, especially at the last board meeting. I think that was the most I've seen here.
Mm-hmm.
How's it been like working with, leaders over at the state capitol, and how do you see that working as session starts up in February?
Well, I'm new to this, so my experience at the Capitol has been going there to, maybe lobby as a superintendent or take a group of students or whatever. So it's a very different thing coming in and actually working there. And so our chief of staff, Tom Newell, has had experience, so he's been very helpful. So surrounding myself with those people. But let me just say, everybody over there has been great. In the first few days, a talk with leaders in the House and the Senate, and I'm just, this is a little bit long, I'm so appreciative because getting hundreds of calls, they sent the initial messages and then gave me space. They understand what it's like to kind of come into something like this. So we've had just some introductory conversations, and I've attended one interim study, so everybody's been great. Both sides, and sometimes I'm not sure which side they're on. I haven't thought much about that, so they've been wonderful. How will that translate after a couple of months? Well, that's hard to say. I think if we stay focused on our priorities, that we'll gain some momentum, but time will tell.
I know this may be a little early to
Sure.
speculate on this, but is there anything that you've seen pop up in the last month that could be a legislative idea that you would like to help, get done in the next session?
Oh, that's a great question. So, we've talked about our pillars of, literacy and teacher recruitment and career pathways. So we have lots of emergency certified teachers, and trying to find a way to best educate and train those emergency certified. So the days of teachers graduating from college with a teaching degree and teaching for 34 years, I think they're gone, right? So we have to find ways to bring people in who have experiences and get them up to speed. So how can we do that efficiently and effectively? And so that's just really come to top of mind most recently. How can we help those teachers and those schools get those folks trained up to be really effective teachers?
How has it been working with the turnaround team? I mean, I'm sure it's nice to have everyone in their niche area
Mm-hmm.
working with you as you navigate this. How has it been like working with them?
Well, I will just say it's been really good. But we ask these people in just hours notice, and maybe just a couple of days notice, to uproot their lives, to take this on. So just so appreciative of that. We're meeting and we're getting some traction, but in some cases there's been they're working 2 jobs at once. So we're not even fully all here together yet, but everybody's kind of in their lane, meeting the folks that they'll be working with here at the agency. So that part's going pretty good. But to strategically sit down and talk about how we're going to execute all of this, those have just been very preliminary conversations. So that's what I'm excited about. I think is what we can really be good at together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we talked about morale outside. Also, tell me if are we on that time?
You're good for now.
Okay.
Maybe 10
I only
minutes.
have a few more questions, so that's
No worries.
we talked about morale in districts and in schools. How has the morale been like? What are you hearing from employees inside of this building?
You know, I hesitate to answer that because I think I sense that it's good. Everybody's kind and polite. I think that we've leveled up our game a little bit. I have gotten outside feedback from folks that have friends here, and they're saying things are going pretty well. You know, as a culture coach, when you walk into an organization, you can feel the culture, and I feel like there's been a shift here. We have a long way to go. We have work to do, but just this idea of going from just to a customer service mentality, I think has helped folks understand that, you know, if you're not taking care of the student, take care of someone who is. It seems to be resonating. So far so good.
I know you've laid out your, I think it's 90-day plan, right? 90 or
We have
however long.
all the
What
way
are
up
the
to
next
15
steps?
months. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yes.
So we have 14 months now.
14 months,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
What is your next big goal? Your next few things that you're focused on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's getting that turnaround team, transition team in place, and start talking about, we're going to start talking about legislation pretty good. We'll start looking at staffing and strategic staffing here at the school. I want to get out more to schools, and specifically with teachers. So just getting that the transition team strategically working inside of the agency, and then executing on those goals is kind of the next step, and then getting out to see people.
Since you've said, you know, you're not going to be running for this position next year,
Right.
how would you like to see the agency running as the next state superintendent comes in?
Yeah. Yeah, I think if we can, I've talked a lot about, you know, having a foundation in place, or the ingredients for a foundation. So we've been in a bit of triage, and I knew that's what I was getting into. If it was a smooth running ship, I don't believe that whoever comes in is going to necessarily do things the same way I am, but if they had, you know, the solid employee infrastructure and just a good foundation so they can work on what matters most, I'd feel pretty good about that.
Last question I have is just, what is your message to parents, to educators,
Yeah.
you know, over the next 15 months?
Yeah, a couple of things come to mind about that. So for educators, I just want, you matter. What you do matters. There's nothing more noble than being a teacher. If you've known me for any amount of time, I've always said that. And it's not just teacher, it's educators in general. So thank you for what you do. You're making a difference. Parents, I would say, we want you to fight for the highest possible good of your children. You should do that. I'd like to ask everybody to do it the right way. Do what you say what you mean, don't say it mean, and follow the path. For my own child, if I'm having a challenge, I'm going to call or email the teacher, and if needed, I'll reach out to the principal, but I'm not going to reach out to social media. I'm not going to reach out to anybody outside of that school. So there's a way to handle things. We expect our teachers to influence, they do influence young minds, but we're also influencing them as a society, and the things we're doing isn't sometimes sending the best message. So let's partner for the good of our children. And I think if we can do that, we can expect to see the kind of results we all want to see.
All right. Anything you feel like I'm missing? Either of you? Kind of covered everything, so.
Good job.
Any last words?
That's it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
See, I told you, I get just.
I thought you did great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
It's not that I just don't, I was telling Jackie, she asked for a coffee, so I was like, I'll give you a list, it just comes to my brain.